There is only one question that matters. Do you swear on your life that what you say is true?
My father told me my life would be blessed with good fortune.
So thanks to the magic of online streaming and the bad taste in my mouth after seeing Ridley Scott's other big movie of 2021, House of Gucci,
You are Gucci, you need to dress the part.
It's chic.
I decided to check out The Last Duel. Great reviews and an intriguing premise led me in, and 2.5 hours later all I could think about was how insanely great The Last Duel in The Last Duel is. So let's talk about it. Now for some context, The Last Duel follows the stories of 3 people, Jean de Carouge, Jacques Legris, and the Lady Marguerite, with the core premise being Carouge challenging his former friend to a duel after Marguerite accuses Legris of rape. The film is separated into 3 chapters with the same events occurring in each, but from each character's perspective. That idea alone is worth a lot of study, as I believe it pulls off the whole Rashomon style very effectively. However, we're just going to focus on that final fight, because even in a fight that lasts 9 minutes, there's a lot to unpack. There's many elements to a great cinematic fight. The script, the cinematography, the choreography, the shot choices and sound design, and of course the editing. However, not all fights need to be glorious displays of dexterity in the same way not all dialogue scenes need to be done in shot reverse shot. The king here is story. Every other element needs to understand the story so the fight taking place can be as true to the page as possible. As an example, take John Wick 2, specifically the scene after the Colosseum where John and Cassian are battling. Really great scene, right? Now imagine it with the choreography of They Live. It doesn't quite have the same feeling, does it? And the fight in They Live is great, by the way. Again, it's about understanding the story and portraying that on screen as best as you can.
Look! Look at them, they're everywhere!
In The Last Duel, Carouge and Legris don't fight like they're in Star Wars or Crouching Tiger. The focus is not on the spectacle of the fight, but the brutality of it. These are big guys in big heavy suits of armor. They don't move gracefully, their sword strikes aren't elegant. This is a duel, a fight to the death, and Scott never lets up on that idea. You never think for a second that these 2 men are going to walk away or let each other live. All great fights have stakes, whether it be personal or Jesus Christ, the world's gonna end if I don't beat this bad guy up stakes. The stakes are the reason to care about the fight, and that seems easy enough. However, we have to remember that audiences aren't stupid. Every fight that Spider-Man is in, we know he's not gonna die because he's Spider-Man, the cash cow himself, so that threat alone doesn't raise the stakes because we know he's not in any real danger. This is why the likes of Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy are constantly used to give Spider-Man someone to save, because while he can't die, they sure can. In The Last Duel, we have just watched 2 hours of Marguerite being tortured by both of these men, both physically and emotionally. Where it begins is the story of a man whose best friend betrayed his trust and assaulted his dearly beloved. It ends with 2 despicable pieces of shit swinging swords at each other until they tire and one of them dies. Doesn't sound very riveting, and because you hate both of them, there shouldn't be any reason to care. And that's where Marguerite comes in. The duel takes place in the 3rd chapter. From her perspective, the duel itself is from her perspective. So the film places us in her shoes. Once she came forth about the assault, her friends called her liars, her husband's mother told her she shouldn't have done it, and now if Legris kills her husband, she'll be burned alive for being a liar, since winning in a duel is considered by the will of God in these ye old times.
It is quite common for the accused to burn for 20 to 30 minutes before they are dead.
It's proper batshit, but it's that batshit that pulls you in and you're completely invested in what's about to happen. You may not want Carouge to live, but you know if he wins then her life is spared. It's also a pretty interesting flip on the usual hero must beat the bad guy to save the girl shtick. Now it's like Dick Wad must beat douche nuggets so this woman doesn't have to die for telling the truth. Structure is essential in every aspect of a film, but sometimes the fight scenes get the short end of the stick and can just end up being endless punching until someone manages to end the fight. No matter how cool something is, you do it for long enough and the audience is going to get bored because they aren't being given anything new. This is why something like the Mustafar fight in Revenge of the Sith doesn't work, but the fight in Force Awakens does. It's not massively overblown and it has a nice structure. First Finn fights Kylo, and then Kylo chases Rey, and then Rey slices his face open. 5 minutes, in and out. Sometimes it's about the quality of the time, not the length of the time. Take note, gentlemen. The Last Duel has a similar little 3-act structure going on here. First they're on horseback, then they're swinging away, and then it's a final struggle to the ground before Courage knees that blade through the back of Legree's skull. Within that structure, we have moments of surprise to keep us engaged. Scott is never satisfied to just repeat himself in the fight. Even during the first act on horseback, where we think it'll be a lot of charging at each other, and then a moment for each man to collect themselves, not a chance, because Legree just charges in and tries to stick Courage's head to a wall. Even the audience gets off their seats. They're shocked by the brutality of what's going on, and it's a perfect way of showing, right from the get-go, that there's no honor here. These men are willing to stab each other in the back, no questions asked. Once we get to the second act of the fight, the hand-to-hand combat, that's not only where we get to appreciate the choreography, which takes their bulky armor and heavy weapons into account, but also where we get to hear some truly world-class sound design. The collisions of the punches and swords, the grunts of both men, even the clinking of their armor is so crisp and filthy. And it needs to be, because there's no music to cover for it, and if the sound design isn't selling it, then all the work by the other departments isn't going to have nearly the same effect. It's near the end of the fight that we also realize, if you don't know the original story, as I didn't, that is, that both men are very good fighters, and both have had their collective shits kicked in by the other. It could really go either way. That's exciting on its own for an audience. Take away the context of the scene, and you're watching two men fight, and either one could win. Who will win? Well, there's still a little bit to go here, and right before the third act we get a moment of calm as Courage regains his breath and Legree looks on. The whole crowd goes mad with anticipation, chanting for Legree to land the killing blow. The music kicks in and Courage even lets out a laugh, realizing the stupidity of it all. Probably not, but it's a nice human moment amongst all the big man grunting and such. Anyway, Legree shouldn't have waited, because he gets an axe to the back of the knee and Courage gets him to the ground and tries to stab his face. This is where Courage wants the confession, but Legree isn't giving it to him. He maintains his innocence to the bitter end, and then... nasty. Courage wins. Marguerite looks suitably depressed at the outcome, all things considered, and the film ends noting that Courage just died in a battle a couple of years later anyway. So there's some good news. Ironically, I didn't expect the duel in a film called The Last Duel to blow me away as much as it did. However, I'm glad it did, because it's a great reminder that action has its place in storytelling. It's not just something you write into the script as a 5-minute distraction to give the audience something to enjoy before you have to bring them back to the story. It's all one and the same, and maybe my immense love for this sequence shows how starved I've been of great story-focused action as of late. If you've got any great action sequences that serve the greater story, comment them down below. I'm really interested in taking a look at them. But that's the end of the video, so play us out, gentlemen.